Hello, guys. Happy Wednesday or Sunday or Monday, whenever you're watching this. We're back with another episode.
Welcome, and we're gonna jump right into it.
Let's do it. Today, we really wanted to talk about balance in your 20s. So, balancing work, relationships, all the things. I know it can be tough, especially as you're building a career and making time for friends, family, romantic relationships, and how it's so important in your 20s. And we're just gonna kind of gonna dive right in. Um, but as you're watching this episode, I hope it helps you reflect on how you're balancing your life and prioritizing those you love while also yourself. And yeah, to get started, Jill, I'll ask you a little question. What have you learned from managing like work and play or work and friendships in your life?
Honestly, it's a constant balancing act.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
I don't think there's ever like a perfect balance that I've like reached where I'm like, okay, this is, how much time I need to dedicate to work and life and health. It's kind of like it's a constant like trying to go with the flow while also maintaining the balance.
Like trial and error.
Yeah, and not even trial and error. Like I think I do have a good like structure that's like a baseline structure of like this is definitely going to be time dedicated to work and then flexibility in terms of um what comes up for play and recreation and then just kind of trying to fit it all into my schedule in a way that like feels balanced, but it
Hmm.
always changes because sometimes there's more social stuff happening that I need to prioritize. Like sometimes there's a wave of that, and then other times it's more calm and I can just like focus on work more. And like I don't feel like I need to prioritize it. But I guess one of the most important things for me has been prioritization, like knowing when to make time for something socially and when to say no, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's really hard to say no. And I think that's something that I'm definitely working on and have been working on. And I think I am getting better at too, to just be like, okay, no, I'm busy during that time. I do have to work during that time on something, and sometimes you
Yeah.
can uh, like we can always procrastinate if we want to, but I rather have the peace of mind and not procrastinate and dedicate that time to working on something early than ending up procrastinating and overbooking myself in a way. And then that's just more stress. So I think when to say
Yeah.
no, the boundaries is really important. And then also at the same time, like having that flexibility and in a way like being able to kind of like move through it with a little bit of leeway and a little bit of spontaneity because
Mm,
sometimes things just come up and if they are worth pursuing and prioritizing, it's just something that we need to also have the flexibility for. If we were too strict in a routine or regimen, I think then it would actually harm us if we're not able to have a little bit of like that play and leeway um, type of flexibility. So I think those two answers, like one, like knowing when to say no and set boundaries, to
yeah.
also knowing when to be flexible and actually like, go for it if it's worth it. So yeah. Sounds contradictory, but I think it does kind of make sense.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is it's a constant ebb and flow of what needs
Yes.
to be done at, deadlines, I guess. And then like maybe another aspect of it is like who you're saying no to. Is it someone you see every day? Is it someone you don't get to see as often?
Hmm.
Um, I think it does depend on those factors. I also recently I was listening to another podcast talking about yes and no's, and I think it was on Transform, but they were talking about if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Mm.
And I kind of liked that because that helped me also prioritize people. So, obviously, same with you. Like I try to prioritize everyone that I can, but sometimes the social circle gets too big where I am in the place of like, okay, I have a lot of good people in my corner and I would rather invest in those already established relationships than try to cultivate new ones at this point in my life. Not saying that's how it's going to be forever, but at this point in my life right now, because I'm building my career and focusing on that, I think I have to kind of say no to cultivating new friendships and just continue to invest in my friendships that are already formed because
Hmm.
that's just what's important to me right now. And obviously, that's going to change, but that's kind of how I have looked at it. And then if I have extra free time, if like work is slow, okay, then I can go get coffee with that new coworker or go get dinner with a new friend or whatever. But it
Hmm.
is one of those things where if they're looking for a new friend that's always available, I'm not going to be that person, and that's okay. But I think I agree with you on like knowing when to say no, and also like something that is really big with me. I have the opposite problem. I think is like love. I'm like a little social butterfly, so it's hard for me. Maybe the same, but it's hard for me to say no to social things and say yes to work. Like I have to say yes to work more because
Hmm.
I I guess I really do prioritize myself so much, but then to a point where it might be excessive and I have to like be like, hey, no, I already did this for myself earlier. I need to say yes to work and like dedicate this time towards back end work or admin work or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's something that I am working. That's like my hurdle at this time
Hmm. Yeah,
for
no, I
sure.
understand that completely. And it's hard because so many things come up in life and like you have
Totally.
so many like I mean you
Unknowns.
are very interconnected socially too, and I myself I feel like I have a strong network of a lot of people who I like really deeply care about, and so it's hard to prioritize,
Yeah.
because you do care for these people so much, and then yes, we also care about our career and our work and about that balance between work and life, I think, and health. And sometimes actually because my um, work can be pretty social too, I do
Yeah.
have like a social battery limit that I can reach. And if I've reached that, then
Yeah.
at times I'm just like, okay, I need to just dedicate this time to restoring my batteries, like to something quiet, something peaceful. And I think that's what I have been struggling with a little bit lately, especially because it's just been picking up with more events, with more things happening, and it's so fun and exciting, and I love it. And at the same time, I also actively need to block out time in my schedule to be like, this is dedicated to do nothing, to
Yeah.
meditate, to whatever, clean and just have my headphones in and not talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a tough one too, especially because, yeah, I think I'm also like a social butterfly and very outgoing and I love people. But also feel the need for quiet times for sure. And at times just to have that space to myself and to connect and realign with yeah, whatever, like, spiritually you believe in or your body, like just having a moment to just do nothing at times can actually give you that energy to then keep going and enjoy what you're doing more. I think it also makes me more present when I do take that time. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely something that I also actively need to prioritize and like block out time in my schedule for. And I do believe it's a very important part of my health and my productivity too, actually, because sometimes when I
Yeah.
take that quiet time, I get to realign my priorities instead of just like running from one thing to the next to the next. It's that moment where I'm like, okay, let me just focus on what I need to do and plan it out in my head so it all runs smoothly and everything's kind of like a moment to reorganize myself.
I am with you there, girl. I we both, I think, have a lot of hats that we wear. Like some days we're whatever, a scientist, some days we're a Pilates instructor, some days we're, a community head or person.
Mm.
And it can get like mentally taxing because your brain's having to transition. And for me, it's exhausting changing and thinking about outfits for each thing. I'm like, I just want to stay in the same thing all day. Um, but or like planning ahead of like, okay, I'm gonna need my running shoes and then I'm gonna need my work outfit and then I'm gonna need my have to change back into my running shoes or whatever. That gets really exhausting for me. But again, like something that has helped. And I guess another hurdle right now that I have is the same of having time to do nothing. I realized that I had to delete my social media apps during the day just because I'm and like at night too, but especially during the day because it would make me feel overstimulated like when I needed to unwind and
Mhm.
take the mental break. And I'm just so clear headed and can focus on what I'm doing rather than constantly thinking ahead. And like today I had teaching and then tonight I have clients as a therapist. And so just I've seen a huge shift in my day by deleting social media and taking that pressure off of even staying, I guess, relevant on social media and posting. Um, it's a challenge for sure, but I think in the long term, if I want my business and my career to succeed, this is what I have to do now to get into a more strict and productive routine. So then once that's set in place, I can reincorporate like how I want to be present on social media as I'm trying to grow that. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
so
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
that's
tricky
my
one for sure.
it
I mean, it
is.
is because, like, at the same time, like, I went back on social media for my business in a way. I was
Yeah.
completely off it and I felt really good. And I also do believe, to some extent, it can be helpful to be on there, but we always, always have to keep that awareness of how much time we're spending and if
Mhm.
our brain is getting addicted to those dopamine rushes. And it's so easy to get addicted to them because they're literally designed to be
To be
that way.
addictive. No,
Hmm.
I am truly, and it
And so
may
it's good that you're taking the measures that you
I
need.
have to.
Exactly.
I
Because I
have
was
to.
too. I was too,
Yeah.
literally. That time I had to go off it for an entire month to like rewire my brain because it was not good. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's something people just have to be very mindful about and aware of. And I think a lot of people are not aware of it. And then they waste a lot of time and focus there. Like you said, then they can't focus throughout the day. And then that can be very problematic. So I definitely
Yeah.
think that is super smart that you're doing that. And I
Thank
also
you.
constantly have to gauge how much time I
I'm
spend on
spending.
there.
Yeah.
And even if it is for work, like just to make sure that I don't like spend any more than I need to. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I was just becoming numb and my day was just passing by and I felt like I didn't even know what I did or didn't do.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
my patience, my tolerance window was so small and now I can tolerate and I can take extra time. And and it feels like I have more time. So it is
Yeah.
a nice little reset so that I can balance myself and work and friends and relationships because it is tough to balance all of them. But I also think something that my dad has always told me, both my parents are entrepreneurs. And yeah, so it's helpful to hear from them that like they had to put in their time at some point. And I feel like right now I'm putting in that time where I'm just kind of grinding, grinding, grinding. And then I will reap the benefits. And I also think even later on, it's not about working a ton and then so that you can not work later. I think it's like working a ton now to continue to build on that
Mm-hmm.
like endurance or stamina of work
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
never gonna end, and it's about finding that balance now so that I don't find burnout later
Yes.
or lose my stamina. And
I
so
love that. It's true. It's like you're running and you're training for a race or something, but you're building that stamina. Like by
yeah,
doing more work, you can actually then m work more without being affected by it, without being burnt
right.
out by it, in a way also that is sustainable, in a way that keeps you productive in the long term a- and healthy at the same time, right? And so it's
Yeah,
kind of like building that stamina. You don't want to just run a marathon out of nowhere and like your body's going to be super overwhelmed. But then if you get used to it over time, the body just gets stronger. And it's kind of like that same, like you're training that muscle,
muscle.
like doing
Yeah,
work. Yeah, in a way. And then as that gets stronger, you can put in
more
more,
time or build
yeah,
more.
time and focused work too. I think these days it's a lot about focus and people are
Yeah,
losing their focus. And what you said about social media, I think is so important to bring up in a conversation about balance because I think that's what makes a lot of people feel out of balance is because they spend too much time checking their phone, on their phone. Their nervous system is addicted to their phone, and that then makes them feel fatigued or lethargic or just like not able to focus and distracted constantly. And that I think can definitely create dysregulation and imbalance.
yeah. It's like when you're constantly on your phone in between things, you lose track of time.
Hmm.
Like time just kind of passes by you, and then you like don't you're disoriented to time,
Hmm.
I think, when you're scrolling.
Hmm.
And
And you
so
lose touch with yourself.
can you say more about that?
I
Like,
think you really like don't check in with yourself if you're checking in on your phone. It's like almost like you don't know what's going on in your body. Like you don't know if you maybe need a walk or if you need to like sit for a moment and activate your parasympathetic. Like I think it's genuinely like something that makes people feel very disconnected and then not just their body, but their mind, their emotions, like it makes you less present. And then maybe you're much more inclined to, I don't know, like have other coping mechanisms that are subconscious to like instead of sitting for a moment and noticing where does the stress come from or is my body stressed right now, someone might just like be on their phone, then walk to the fridge and grab a sugary snack because like it's like what their body is signaling is, oh, I'm stressed out. I need to be heard for what is happening, but you're just distracting yourself basically on social media and
yeah.
with whatever else then you start doing that is mindless. So I think it makes people less connected to their body's needs when they spend so much time on a screen rather than like taking that time to just kind of listen in and check in with their emotions or what their body's needs are.
Yeah. That I've have you heard of functional freeze?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, the holistic psychologist
Oh, I
posted
love
about
her.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she talked about the functional freeze of when you're basically how people bed rot. And because I think it's like they, by scrolling, they're kind of in a functional freeze because they're getting that dopamine hit, but they're sedentary. And so it's
Mm.
like this mind game of them feeling productive but not actually being productive. Um, which leads to your point of like not being connected with your body and kind of acting in this mindless state and then grabbing for that sugary snack because it's like they're trying to also self-soothe
Hmm.
and connect more to themselves, but they're not able to actually do that because their mind isn't present with their body.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
and I think too, like if you want balance and if you're looking for balance with your career, with friendships, with anything, you have to be healthy. Like you have to
Yes.
show up. And I said that so like animated, but really like
True.
think about all the responsibilities I have in my day and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I have to be well rested. I have to be prepared physically because if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
my 100%, my work is going to reflect that." So,
Yes,
that's
it's
also
so
how I
true.
think of it. Yeah, but
And that's the third part of this episode, I guess, work, relationships, and then health. Like, how do we
yeah.
balance all of those? And I think each of them can contribute to better performance in the other, but health is a really, really important one because it really just like allows you to show up in a way that takes care of business, that takes care of others, like just like in a state that really can do like good work. And so if we're if we're neglecting the health part, I think that can have very negative consequences on both work and relationships. And so that's why I think that one is like, it's not necessarily the priority because they all affect each other, but it is something that once you do realize how much of a difference that can make in your life and in how much productivity and precision you can bring to what you're doing, whether that is connecting with someone in a relationship or doing something for your work. It just is such a game changer. And I think all the like success books and like self-development books and everything, they just always mention that it's so important to take care of ourselves through nutrition, through movement, through good sleep, through having a mental health, like having good mental health and a support network in that too, so that there's the relationships in there as well. And then also like stress management and those things like actually I feel like are just so important to keep that balance of work and life and relationship. Um,
Did you name the 5 pillars of health?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
but you can rename them if you
No,
like.
no, no, you're good. I won't do that, but because I can't remember them off the top of my head, but as you were saying it, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
So,
those are the 5 pillars. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's so important. All of it. Like you
Hmm.
can't have I think you need them all for sure. And obviously,
Yeah.
yeah, it is just a balance and continuing to strive. I feel like we're always in a pursuit of balance,
Hmm.
even though we'll never hit it.
Yeah, isn't
Like
that
we'll
funny?
never
But it's the
fully
act.
what?
It's the act of it that like
Right.
creates the balance. Because if you think about it, balance is always something that is in motion too, in a way. It's always slightly like balancing, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going this way a little bit and then that way a little bit and this way.
Right.
And so it's always just a little bit of a emotion, I guess. A balancing act is probably the
Yeah.
best way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
but
verb, not a noun.
ooh, I like that. It's a verb, not a noun. Same with peaking. I saw your bio. And
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
it's a verb. I love that.
Right?
Um,
Because it
yeah,
shouldn't be an adjective whatsoever. It's a verb. Because you show up each day to create that energy inside of you and cultivate that. And the
totally.
moment you stop, it stops. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's like same with balance. Like we have to keep working on it. We have to um move with time, I guess, toward creating something that feels good, that we want to aspire, but it's always in motion.
Yeah. I feel like that brings me to another point of like people like priorities and balance always change and something I actually learned this in church at a sermon like a year ago, but it has stuck with me ever since. He was like, people don't have time problems, people have priority problems. And that hit home. And it's like at the end of the day, you're going to make time for what you prioritize. And so, like, constantly evaluating your priorities is going to help you continue to be in balance or like strive
Yes.
for balance. But
Yes, that's such a good point. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier with like taking that time for yourself too.
yeah,
Because those are the moments where you can recalibrate, Or you can
Totally.
ask yourself, have I been doing this right? Have I been prioritizing the right things? And how can I, do better or
Realign.
recalibrate, realign?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think that is actually so crucial. And it takes like taking a break, a moment to like reassess,
Reflect.
realign, reflect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, if like they just like overbook themselves and are just on default, like one thing after the next, I think they almost like can lose themselves in it a little bit, in the heat of everything, but then not prioritize the right things because it's just yes to everything. Um, and
Hmm.
and then at least for me, I've had times where that has happened in the past, and then I had to like come back to myself and just like reassess like what do I really care about? What do I truly value? And can I make decisions based on that and say
Yeah.
no to what's not that?
I think that's a constant like battle.
Yeah,
But
totally.
same here. So, okay, I feel like that's all I have to say
I love this
about balance.
conversation.
Me too. And if you guys have anything or anything you want to take away from this episode, leave it in the comments. Tell us what you would like to talk or what you would like to hear from us. And if you can take one thing away, maybe it is taking away scrolling.
Yes, I agree. And
But
taking that time to reconnect with yourself.
yes, and like this resonated with me, so I hope it resonates with you. But like, we all don't have time problems, we have priority problems. So, like, what are you prioritizing and what do you want to prioritize? I think
Hmm.
I'll leave you guys with that question. But,
That's so great.
anyways, love you guys from Julia and Jill, and we hope you have the best week. Like, comment, subscribe. We would love to hear from you all.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, listening, and we look forward to having you back next week.